Welcome to the Nite Time podcast. Hey friends, welcome to the Nite Time podcast, which is the name I came up with, and I hope you guys are okay with it.
Works for me.
Cool. I'm here with.
Specifying you came up with it as though somebody else would have.
We could have come up with it together, but we didn't. I was just like, this is what we're calling
my
it.
PR person.
Yeah. But I'm here with Jorgs and Fletcher. And so we're still kind of like developing this podcast, but in this episode we are talking about season 1 of Avatar: The Last Airbender. So I'm gonna start out and just say what we're all thinking. I want a flying buffalo.
I'm not gonna lie to you. My very first note that I took on this entire series is weird animals, but I wrote platypus bear.
Platypus bear. Yeah.
Even more than a flying buffalo, I like the little lemur.
Yeah.
Thing.
Momo.
Momo, yeah.
That is the creator's favorite thing to draw is Momo.
You can
Like
tell
a thing.
because it's always doing the most fun thing on screen. Like it's just you can tell they have fun with it.
Yeah. And what was the other one? There was like an otter koala, which they didn't like give it a name, but it was just like a koala that was like floating around on its back. Like I thought that was super cute.
Oh yeah.
There's a lot of like, if you try to describe an animal to someone who's never seen it and then ask them to draw it, there's a lot of that. Like it's a hermit crab, but like it doesn't do hermit crab stuff. It's like furry.
Yeah.
I appreciate that. It is an interesting approach because like the world building in this is really good.
Yeah,
Like,
I'd say that's the strongest aspect.
Is good the word? The world building is, they made a really strong effort to build a world. I think that
the world
switching
building is
together animals
committed.
is-
I would say it's way more than like shows of this type you would ever expect from.
Yeah. Like, and that's one thing you really have to keep in mind when you're watching this show. Like,
Yeah.
it's a show for like preteens, you know?
Yeah, it's on Nickelodeon.
Yeah.
And
so for
I
what
wish
it
I would've
is,
watched
I think it was really
Nickelodeon. Because having that in the context of Nickelodeon would have been a really cool experience. But I missed it when it was like I'm watching it for the first time now. So season 1 is all I've seen of Avatar.
Yeah.
We're all on that
Yeah.
boat.
I did watch it when I was in college, but like honestly, even going back and watching it, like I remember very, very little of it.
Yeah.
There's some stuff like as I'm watching it, it's kind of coming back to me, but like I don't remember like how it ends or anything. There's one thing in season 2 that I really like that I'm really looking forward to getting back to, but like, you know, we'll talk about that later.
Are you
But
concerned of how it ends?
Am I concerned?
Like if we're taking bets on how we think it's going to end?
We can do that.
I assume that he wins, right? Isn't that the, like, do we think it's more than that?
Yeah.
Probably. Yeah. Like I'm
Yeah, no.
I'm sure that's how it is.
What's gonna happen?
I remember it
that
gets
is
really
my
intense at the
logic.
end.
And
season 2, I'm calling it now.
through the lens of this is obviously a show for kids, I will say that almost every single development in the plot, like you can see coming from a mile away.
Yeah, this is it's a great primer for
Like, yeah.
foreshadowing. Like, if you didn't know what foreshadowing was, you could show someone
Yeah.
an episode and be like, okay, I'm going to pause. You see how Aang is talking about how quickly he could take that weird slide thing around the Earthbender town? He's going to do that later to defeat a bad guy. And then, like, 10 minutes later, that's what he does.
Yeah.
Right. No, everything is extremely telegraphed. Like you're never really caught off guard by a twist in the plot, which is it's fine because like it works. Like that's not necessarily the point. Like they're trying to tell a story that has like a lot of layers, and it's like I think it's cool how they've been able to like deliver. And I mean it's what it's mostly acclaimed for, but like the complicated concepts and stuff just to a very young audience. And it's impressive that they're able to do that so well.
Yeah. You mean like some of like the more, you know, complex adult kind of themes, like there's a little bit of like
just some of the like socio-political like messages that are like kind of going through the story.
Yeah.
Even making the first actual Avatar we meet in the series is a Fire Nation guy. Like, that was when I was like, oh, okay, I kind of, because, like, let's be honest, this series starts super slow, and you're like, this is kind of hard to get through.
No, because I tried to watch it in college. I think around the same time that you did, K-Nite.
Oh yeah.
And I could not get through like episode 6. I was just like, I do not see why everyone loves this show. Like, this seems really dumb.
But like they introduced Master Roku, and you're like, oh right.
Yep.
Like the Fire Nation wasn't always pseudo fire Nazis. They used to be like, pretty chill dudes.
Yeah.
And like now we don't have that. And then there's like, oh, there's like a weird Earth Kingdom genocide going on.
Mm-hmm.
And you can kind of tell that with General Iroh, because like the older guy, he's like way more chill, and he's like, I really like him. Like he's probably one of my favorite characters on the show, and he's very different than any of the younger Fire Nation, people.
That dude's definitely like soldiers. A defector, right? Like, is that safe to call? I haven't seen the rest of this, but like Uncle Iroh.
Oh yeah, no, I mean that's the thing. Like, I think I knew by the end of episode 1 that Zuko and his uncle are like ultimately good guys. Like, it's just that like they need to take this arc, and
I think Iroh's always been I think that he is like slowly guiding Zuko to good guyness, and like Iroh's always been a good guy. Like there's going to be like
working against the Fire Nation now.
Kingdom, and they're going to be like, Iroh, General, whatever, do a thing, and he's going to be like, oh, and he'll say something about tea or something and blow everybody up. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, he just kind of like disrupts what they're doing.
Yeah, by kind of playing this bumbling idiot, but he's like. He's thought it out. He's know what he's doing. He's trying to prevent him from doing it.
I do appreciate like Uncle Iroh as like this sort of like badass general that everybody recognizes, though. Like there's there's something cool to be like, all right, like this guy is kind of an idiot, but also everyone knows who he is. And he's definitely done some messed up stuff in his like military career, and like I think it's a kid show, but they do handle a lot of like wars, not so much good guys, bad guys. Yeah. Like we're gonna ultimately root for Iroh and Zuko at some point in like season 2 or 3, whenever that turn happens.
I feel like I've had moments where I'm already rooting for them now.
Well, yeah, like the Blue Spirit thing and all that.
Yeah.
Yeah, like when you see kind of Zuko's past with his father, like you understand where he's coming from, but at the same time, you are kind of seeing, I think even him turning around already.
Yeah. And there's just episodes where just the way the plot is structured, it's very much like you're following them through something. And that just kind of helps you recognize them as protagonists and not antagonists, because you actually spend more time with them, like, kind of hoping they succeed at something than time. Because if they were just like Team Rocket and he was showing up in every single episode to try to foil him, like, it would just be dumb. But like he goes off and he has his own arc where he's doing his own things. And so it kind of helps you get to know him as a main character, not so much as a villain.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a really clever way to show that your bad guys are dangerous without like having to like wharf somebody. You know what I mean? Like, because they lose a lot. They can't win because they're not supposed to win. They're the bad guys. But how do you continue to show the Fire Nation as powerful? You just remove your chosen one for an episode and be like, oh shit, like they can win. There's a reason they're in charge of everything. And I don't know if they're ever going to recognize the fact that firebending is the only bending that you don't need a source for. I assume that's why
I thought they talked about it as the sun.
Oh, is it just no? Because they still fight at night. They're just less powerful.
Yeah, like the moon just makes the water nation stronger, and the sun makes the Fire Nation stronger. But they can still bend even without the moon and sun.
But like Fire Nation is the only nation that like they can just go like that, and then like fire happens. Like everybody else has to have a source. Yeah. Which I assume is why they win.
Yeah, but I mean, what's the source for airbending? It's everywhere.
Yeah, sure, but like, what's the other? And like we can get into that later. I assume we're gonna kind of like cover the general arc of the first season.
Yeah.
But the fact that they don't kill Aang when they can is the stupidest thing I've ever seen. That plot hole will drive me nuts forever. She's like, we're going to keep you alive, so then, because if we kill you, another avatar will show up. And I'm like, yeah, good.
Because eventually it'll come back around to Fire Nation.
That, and it's literally the last Airbender. There's no more avatars if he dies.
Yeah, is that how it works?
The main arc of this show is little dude has to learn how to bend from masters. If you kill the only airbender,
Oh, there's no one to teach.
There's no Avatar. It isn't. And like most of the Water Nation's dead, so if it becomes a Water Nation person, who cares? They're not even. Would they even know? Would they recognize it? Like, you know what I mean? Like, who would even like? Aang didn't know he was an Avatar. Somebody told him.
Yeah. So does that mean that Aang would have to start his own school of airbending before he died, or else there could never be another Avatar after him?
I assume, honestly, the way the show is going, I wouldn't be shocked if there wasn't like an everyone can learn to do anything. It's instant friendship.
Yeah, that's the way I kind of see it going a little bit.
I assumed it was like a genetic thing. Like only airbenders could bend air, and only their kids could. You know.
And just being the Avatar is the only one who can do everything.
Yeah.
So like airbenders in 50 years are doomed to be like weird homunculi because Aang is the only person who can produce airbenders.
Well, I mean, in theory, they're like already screwed because if Aang's the last one, he can't. He can't make any more.
That's what I'm thinking. Is if I haven't really thought about that.
Yeah.
Like if the world needs another Avatar, they're just kind of fucked because like you just get one more.
That's kind of the thing with the show. Like, I feel like we're kind of focusing too much on like the specifics of how it works. And the show's not concerned with how things work too much.
Well, and also,
it's kind of just like
just find a hidden temple of airbender. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
I know. I have to expect there to be more airbenders, even though the show's called The Last Airbender. I wouldn't be surprised if there's like secretly a bunch of airbenders alive somewhere, and that'll play into the ending somehow. Like, I don't know.
I did have. So we've been talking about the issues and how the show handles it. And I'm all for teaching sexism to young people.
Yeah.
But holy shit, is this some of the most like it's like super for a show that seems to try to be like a little subtle about like
it's Nickelodeon, dude. They're not going to be. They're not going to be subtle about anything.
I'm sorry. Sokka is the Xander of Avatar. Like it is the most annoying thing. Like I'm sure he becomes cool later, but it's so frustrating. Every episode.
He's just thoroughly unlikable.
Fighting again. It's like dude, you get your ass kicked by women constantly. Like you honestly shouldn't have this worldview. Like you consistently lose to girls. It shouldn't be weird anymore.
Thing. Do you think with the season finale arc with the Moon Girl, do you think that is going to mark some kind of transformation in his character? Or do you think next season he's just the same stock? Like I'm the naysayer who doesn't believe in anybody else.
No, they're gonna like with these kinds of characters, they're gonna do what they always do, which is gonna start really annoying, and they're gonna be like, "Oh, look, he's changed," despite the fact that they're not gonna. I don't think it'll be gradual. I honestly think he'll just come out and like.
And be a totally different person.
For no reason, Sokka will be like a badass fighter. You know what I mean? Like, it just really feels like.
I don't think he's gonna change much.
Yeah, I don't think he's kind of gonna always be that comic relief, but he's still gonna have like these serious moments.
See, but I think I think they will trend away from just being obnoxiously wrong, and it'll just be more like. Him going, it doesn't make any sense for us to go over there. And everybody's like, oh, you always say no. And then, like,
I think we're going to meet new characters, you know, obviously wrong, though. And then he's going to buy, like, because, like, you know how, like, when you have a TV show that it's, like, followed around a single premise, and the closer you are to the premise, the more you understand it. And then, like, the farther out, like, you're always a little bit out of the loop. And so, like, even the characters who in season 1 seemed like the idiots and the problems, like by season 6, they're like the people you love the most because like there's a wider circle of people.
There'll be other big dummies that we can worry about.
Yeah, I think there'll be other dummies that like make him not seem relatively so annoying. Because there'll be at least a familiarity to his quirks.
So because you brought up the ending, I thought it was cool. It is really hard to get invested because the Fire Nation always loses.
Yeah, I'm not that afraid of him, really.
That cliffhanger of Zuko's sister was the most annoying shit I had. I was like, oh, she's a talented airbender. Every bad guy is a talented airbender. Like, or sorry, firebender. Like, like, oh no, another person who's good at burning things. Like, who cares?
Yeah, I'm not really afraid of the firebenders at all.
Like, it's so like. What if like Aang died? Like there's no more firebenders because we can't make more. Sorry, there's more airbenders. We can't make more airbenders. But like somebody discovers like the earth benders figure out how to bend metal, and they just make guns. And then we have gun benders, and we just shoot the Fire Nation because
I feel like that's way too mature for where this show's trying to go, though.
I'm just saying, I think Soka's got it figured out by taking a hammer with him everywhere.
Yeah.
Like, it's a lot of like, I'm gonna freeze you in ice and blow wind at you, but like, I would love for somebody to just like take a club to the Fire Nation because they don't seem to like have or Fletcher froze up on us.
Oh no. All right, you back, Fletcher?
Yeah, sorry, my internet has been just trash lately.
Oh yeah. All right. I don't know. You got any points you want to make? So I feel like the show's got pretty good. Like, once you do kind of get into it, I feel like it's got a pretty good pacing. Like, I even feel like each individual episode kind of has a good amount of story, and then there's like a little bit of action in every episode, which kind of keeps each episode interesting and fun to watch.
I'm super excited for the action sequences of season 2.
Yeah,
because like the action animation towards like the second half of the season, like it gets really good. Like there's like some legitimately like solid.
The last couple episodes, I'm like, okay, I'm finally starting to see like the anime aspect of this show.
Yeah,
like I'm finally starting to see like where they're being influenced by like, I don't know, a lot more fluid, just sort of combat and that kind of stuff.
It's definitely a good mix of like anime and American style animation, kind of that East and West.
Yeah.
Right.
Big fish monster. The spirit combo thing, I'm hoping isn't reserved for like season finales because like that's cool, and I'm gonna be really annoyed if they ignore it later. That
the spirit combo.
Yeah, because like the season finale, he combines with the moon spirit, and he's like that big fish monster.
Oh yeah. Okay.
And I'm like, it's like that Power Rangers Megazord thing.
Yeah.
Where it's like, well, I mean, like if you can do this, we should probably do it first.
Just
like,
jump right to that. Yeah. You don't have to spend the whole episode fighting and losing and fighting and losing, and then just go Megazord and win anyways.
Yeah, so that was cool, and I hope that there's more of it, and I hope that it does not just become like this weird final form thing that we only use like after we're losing this giant fight because it just doesn't make any sense. Like,
yeah,
if we can do that, we should do it all the time. And I get that like you have to have like a spirit who came to the like real world or whatever to like bond with and all that stuff, but at the same time, it's like
and the way they're kind of making it seem is like he doesn't know how to control that yet. So like I feel like that's kind of maybe a plot device to say that this is the power he does have, but like he only busts it out, or he can only use it when like he's really mad or he's really worked up or he's very emotional for some reason, and he's still learning how to control it. But
dang, we're losing the fight, and there's only 5 minutes left in our episode.
Big giant fish monster.
I did make a drinking game.
Yeah.
It's only got 2 rules, but I think that it's a very dangerous game. It is drink every time someone tells Aang to go away, and drink every time a teacher refuses to teach.
Yeah.
I think it will kill you. I think you will die.
There's quite a bit of that.
It is constant Aang being like, I'm gonna fuck around because I'm 12, and people being like, shut up and leave us alone.
Something I thought was interesting. I don't know how interesting it is. I just think it's cool that like, I feel like the sort of like the Nazi imagery is very overdone, but like the Fire Nation feels very like Chinese to me. And I think that's really cool because it's like a parallel imperialism that you don't see as much. But like this does feel like it's very much more Eastern imperialism than Western imperialism. And that's cool. I don't know what else to say about that other than that it's just a little bit different than what you're typically used to.
It's a refreshing view on imperialism.
Yeah. Well, yeah. I mean, it's not the same old. Like how everybody is always trying to create the Nazis through some kind of fantasy lens, but like
So it's
I
just like,
don't
hey,
see the
what's
Fire
the
Nation as
worst?
Nazis, really. I see them more as China. Like,
Yeah,
they seem like Imperial China.
yeah. A lot of times people try and make this evil group, and you're right. Like the Nazis is kind of the go-to because like that's what everybody thinks
Mhm.
of as like the most evil nation
Yeah.
or group of people that has ever existed. But and I wonder how much of that is just because we are more Western. I don't know how much the Eastern
Right.
countries think about Nazis
If, like,
versus Imperial Chinese rulers.
yeah, if you know, fantasies on Korean television are, you're much more likely to see that, like, Chinese archetypal sort of the tyranny rather
Yeah,
than the, like, Gestapo style crap.
yeah, yeah.
It would be interesting. I know that there will be no more Avatar, but like if there was a season 4 where they do a time skip and one of the other nations has just like taken the mantle of bad guy,
Yeah,
because
that
it's
would
like
be
right,
cool.
like I assume the Fire Nation, the Fire Nation always loses. They'll just continue to lose, I assume. Um, and then that'll be the season finale, and then there'll be Harmony or whatever. But like, if you jump ahead 50, 100
Yeah.
years, whatever, and it's like now the Earth Nation is.
That's the thing, is the Earth Nation doesn't always necessarily seem much better. They're just not like the super all powerful ones.
Yeah.
They still seem like they kind of have like shitty
Yeah.
ideas
But
a lot
right
of
now
times.
they're the ones being oppressed by the more
Mhm.
powerful nation, which is the Fire Nation at the moment.
Yeah, I mean, I assume that like within some like somebody had to have sat down and like each of these tribes represent like some sort of pre-existing culture because that's how this works. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, I would not
Some of
be
them it
shocked.
seems like the references are extremely obvious, but others I think it's a little more subtle. Like
Yeah,
the ice bender, the water benders at the beginning seemed very like Inuit,
Oh yeah, for sure.
and
yeah,
then
yeah. And then I think the fire is Chinese, and then I assume like the Earthbenders are sort of because like they're very actually
I
like
feel very
isolationist.
Tibetan. Like, doesn't it seem like Tibet? Like
Oh yeah.
the airbenders seem like Tibetan.
Oh for sure. Yeah,
And
they
even the
seem
sort of
very
design of their
Buddhist.
temples and stuff, yeah. And they're
Yeah.
all monks and stuff.
Yeah.
And then your Earthbenders are very isolationists, and I assume therefore align more with like Japan.
Hmm. Well, specifically that one like female warrior tribe where they were all like samurai.
Yeah.
I will say one critique I have of like the overall season is like I don't feel like we've achieved anything. Like
In what sense? Like there's been
nothing
any change from the status
nothing's like
quo?
happened. Like
Yeah.
we discover our avatar, we decide he's important, we set a goal, we're gonna learn to air we're gonna learn
And
to
he
water
knows his
bend.
mission. It's
Yeah.
like a hero's journey. Like it's not the most groundbreaking storytelling, but it's like
But like
he's
even then, I don't feel like anything was won or lost.
I
Like
think there's something valuable in him at least knowing what he needs to do, and now we have a trajectory for the like story to come, right?
that's fine, but it's a whole season. Like we got through an entire season and Aang kind of knows how to waterbend. We fought the bad guys and won, but the bad guys are still around. Like we didn't really like no foothold was made. We really just stopped ourselves from getting stomped on, which is nice, but like, meh. Like that doesn't
Well,
feel. And then you end on
yeah,
this weird cliffhanger where they're like, "Oh, there's a new bad guy who's the same as all of the other bad guys." Like, and I'm sure in season 2 that'll all get fleshed out and mean something. But as far as season 1, like if you were watching this in real time and
yeah.
someone were to say, "Well, what happened?"
Yeah, we watched it over 20 weeks instead of 2 weeks.
Yeah, like I don't know. Next year we're gonna have stuff happen.
But also keep in mind, like you're not watching this on HBO. You're watching this on Nickelodeon. This probably aired between like fucking Hey Arnold and Invader Zim. The fact that there was any sort of engagement at all into a wider plot is like, that's why I think like it's a hard show to watch out of context, because
Yeah.
for when it aired and to who it primarily aired and the target audience, like you didn't really expect any of that stuff. Like
Yeah.
you didn't need like a big, like, this is what was accomplished in season 1, the way that we, like, for, like, prestige television, we're kind of conditioned to break it down and structure it that way now.
Yeah, like I can't really think of a kid show that did that before this. You know, I think they had in mind, they wanted 3 seasons and they had an overarching story that they wanted to tell from beginning to end. Like I can't think of another kid show that did that before Avatar. I'm sure there's probably more out there now, especially with, you know, Netflix and Hulu and all that.
Yeah, there's like Steven Universe and stuff is the one that comes to mind as like I think gets a lot of the similar accolades to like what this got when we were teenagers.
Yeah, because I mean, when this came out, I mean, really the only way people were watching TV was by watching TV. You know, it's
when did this actually air?
2005. It was 2005 to 2008.
Okay, so yeah, we were in high school.
Yeah.
Through all that.
Yeah.
I didn't watch any of it in high school, but like,
yeah, which is
that would have been.
I mean, I don't even know if I would have appreciated it in high school. I think had I been a little bit younger, I would have liked it more.
No, we definitely missed this by like a couple of years.
Yeah,
like, if you're just a little bit younger. We
in my Dragon Ball Z days, had I found this, I would have been so into this.
This is much better than Dragon Ball Z, which I know will cause anger in people, but like
I disagree.
I completely agree.
If we're gonna, I mean, from my previous critique of nothing happened in season 1, name a show where even less happened. Like
Doctor Who, like nothing ever really happens.
But that's by design. No, that's not true. Stuff happens in Doctor Who. None of it ever means anything.
But you can always come out of the season being like, where were we? That's not true at all. There's like massive transformation of characters and massive change in like the way things are in Dragon Ball Z.
But I feel like it takes a lot longer. Yeah, it takes a lot longer.
It's a slow burn, but it's not economic storytelling by any means. I would never say it is. It's drawn out to the absolute most possible extent, but it's
TV
overall
show.
The story's cooler, I think.
Where the suggested form of watching it is some fan took all of your footage and cut out most of it because it's just nonsense. And people say, no, watch that. It's like a third of the length of the entire series, and you get all the same plot points. You don't miss anything.
Sure. Yeah. I agree. That they definitely improved the delivery of the story, but that doesn't mean the story wasn't still good. It was just way too padded and way too fluffed and way too drawn out. But there's a pretty, especially in the early Dragon Ball Z, before you get into Buu and stuff, like there's a pretty coherent arc.
Okay, fuck it. Let's have this conversation. We're talking about Avatar. Let's do the not necessarily specifically Dragon Ball Z.
Okay.
Where does Avatar stack up in the realm of
the shonen anime?
Yeah, like your action animation categories. Now, this is obviously limited to what we have seen, and I don't know how big that is.
Yeah.
Like, I assume that you didn't watch Naruto. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I've never watched Naruto.
Like a lot of the Shonen Jump stuff, I can't get into by virtue of there's so much to catch up. Like I can't watch One Piece.
Hunter is really good.
It's just too much. But from what we saw, because we watched every like action animation basically before Avatar. Like Avatar, sort of like what would have been the tail end of all of that. So you and I agree, Dragon Ball Z under Avatar.
I would say yes. Yeah.
Do we count Gundam Wing in the action animation category?
I've never watched Gundam.
You never watched Gundam
Dude, you remember, growing up, I never had cable. Like, I didn't watch any Dragon Ball until college. I started watching Dragon Ball my freshman year of college, and I watched all of it. And I think I finished Dragon Ball Z, like, a couple years later. Like, it took a long time to get through it all, but I did it.
When we get done with this, when we're not doing Avatar anymore, we're doing Gundam Wing next.
Okay.
Gundam Wing does not hold up.
How much Gundam is there?
No, just Gundam Wing.
How much Gundam Wing is there? See, that's how little I know about this show.
It's an FMV. It's
maybe 32 episodes max.
Yeah, it's kind of like Cowboy Bebop. There's just like one thing, you just front to back. There's like seasons or anything. I think they broke it up into seasons when it was on TV, but like it's just like a straight series.
Okay.
I disagree.
I'll
I
find it
watched
somehow.
Gundam Wing like 5 years ago again, and it's good as an adult, but for different reasons than when you were a kid.
Yeah.
Because when you're a kid, it's like giant robots fighting, which is great. But there's like a ton of like political intrigue and like weird backstabby shit going on that like you don't really understand as a kid, but like as an adult, you're like, oh, this is actually it's kind of cool.
Yeah.
So I put Gundam Wing, I think, ahead of Avatar.
Okay.
That might change on a rewatch, but I do at least so far for season 1.
Have you
Hey, Fletcher.
seen?
Sorry.
You put Gundam Wing above or below Avatar?
Neither one is good.
It's not what I asked.
Gundam Wing, I still put Gundam Wing for... No, Avatar's above Gundam Wing. Avatar actually has some really good aspects to it.
So there's just no good aspects for Gundam Wing then?
When's the last time you watched Gundam Wing?
About 5 years ago.
Alright, well, maybe you watched it and... I watched it like 2 years ago, and I remember as a kid watching Gundam Wing and thinking, wow, this plot is so sophisticated and complicated, and I'm just not old enough to understand all the crazy politics that's going on. And then I watch as an adult, and I'm like, oh no, this is just incoherent garbage. And like little kids watch this and think they're not smart enough or not adult enough to understand what's going on, when it's really like there's no consistency to the plot whatsoever. Everyone is constantly switching sides. Nobody has really any kind of political ideals. Like, but it's this show that's couched in politics as if it makes it somehow more sophisticated. But it's just a mess. It's an incoherent mess.
It's funny because I know you missed it, but that's basically the opposite of what Danny said.
No, it's nonsense. It's complete nonsense.
All right. Well, okay. What about Attack on Titan?
Attack on Titan is on a whole other level.
Yeah, it's way better. Even like
Attack on
Titan is still better. Like you can't, like, don't get me wrong, Attack on Titan slowly turns into like annoying like tragedy porn, but like before but even that's still better.
Yeah.
It's still more interesting. Like the action is still there. Like if you told me Aang might get eaten by a giant and it might actually happen, I'm gonna care way more. But like by virtue of being a kid show, it's really hard to like have stakes, and I understand that that's
what's playing against it. And there's gotta be
the thing. But like,
and there's got to be a predictability, because if when your audience is kids, your main target audience like isn't really capable of like following a plot the way that adults can. So you need to kind of guarantee that no matter when they tune into this show, they're generally getting the same thing.
Yeah,
and so like there's a structural limitation that is going to prevent this show from doing anything really bold, because at the end of the day they want to hit that time slot and they want to catch that same audience, and they don't want to alienate people too much.
But think about what happened with Pokemon.
Yeah.
Like the entire show, like except for like maybe the first couple episodes, like Ash won every single battle. You know, he kept learning and growing and getting better and better. But like he won every battle, except for the finale.
The worst Pokemon trainer. Okay, this is a whole other episode.
But like, my point is, at the end, he lost
consistently. He lost constantly. He always lost. He did nothing but lose.
Well, at the Elite Four, he lost. It doesn't necessarily end with the Elite Four. It goes on infinitely forever after that.
Yeah.
No, but like he lost a bunch in season 1. Like every fight.
Yeah, but because he was weak, and then he grew, and he became stronger, and he beat all the gym leaders, and then you expected that was going to carry through, and then he didn't.
But he doesn't beat. Like he gets his ass kicked by gym leaders, and they like give him badges out of pity.
Not necessarily.
No,
didn't he
they lose in the way.
A way to win.
Like I feel like he loses in the way that Aang loses. Like he'll lose in like halfway through the episode, but then he'll figure out some way to like come back and beat him.
There's some Deus Ex Machina magic attack that like
at the end of the episode
thought you could use or something. Yeah,
he ends up coming back and figuring out and winning. But then you got to the Indigo Plateau in the Elite Four, and he ended up losing.
Right.
But like I said, I don't remember. Like, I seriously don't remember, which I'm really glad I don't remember.
I know
what happens
Pokemon was
a bad,
like it was an objectively like not very good show, so I will not suggest that we watch it and try to do one of these. But like Ash sucks at being a Pokemon trainer, and that's what matters.
And Pokemon was even aimed at a younger target audience, and like it's sort of hard to judge like shows that aren't for us because like obviously like if the purpose of a TV show is to appeal to kids, then like you're not gonna try to do super crazy storytelling mind fucks. You're gonna try to have a very digestible plot that like anybody can understand and follow, and then nobody can feel like they're out of the loop because they missed like half a season, you know?
Yeah.
And so I think Avatar does that well, and while still providing you with something that for people that will still being somewhat rewarding for the people who are sitting down and watching every single episode. And that's a really hard balance.
I've just had a thought about Avatar.
Yeah.
Which is when this show was on TV, I do not remember seeing a lot of merchandise.
I don't either.
Children's cartoons exist specifically to sell things.
I don't think was it that wildly successful when it was actually airing, or did it just become a cult phenomenon like years later? Because I remember college, all of a sudden everyone was like, I loved Avatar. I'm like, when were we all watching Avatar? Because apparently we were, but like I don't remember this as it was happening.
Because the only time like I mean I remember hearing about it, but the first time I remember actually someone being like, oh, the show's great, like you have to watch it, and she was like the first one who actually got me to watch the first couple episodes. It was way after high school, so for context, we graduated high school in 2008, which was the final year the show came out, so like just kind of that's our reference for this. So like I didn't really hear anything fantastic and phenomenal about it till after that.
I was told in high school to watch it by somebody who we went to high school with.
Yeah.
And they were like, we know it's kind of like for people younger than us, but like it's pretty good.
Yeah. But I remember hearing that from people, but I really remember hearing it more in college than high school.
Yeah.
I'm struggling to find any Airbender like merchandise that is older. Like everything I'm seeing now is like stuff adults would buy. It's like art prints and coffee mugs, and like there's a $500 statue at Target you can buy. It's from The Legend of Korra. It's not technically Airbender, but like
And when that dropped, everybody was super into it. But that dropped when we were in college.
Yeah.
So like,
and then there's some raunchy statues available at Target, guys. Sorry, continue.
I'm pretty sure nobody liked Legend of Korra, right?
No, a bunch of people. No, it was huge.
I mean, they were like really into it, excited, but I heard,
and then it was disappointing.
It was very disappointing.
I thought
I don't know. I never watched it.
Warm reception, but I don't remember.
Yeah.
My only insight into the success of Legend of Korra was the Gizmodo network did like episodic reviews. And but so like the problem is the people who would read a review about a TV show are the people who already watched that TV show.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know how big the fandom was by virtue of like that.
That was like a Kotaku thing, wasn't it?
Yeah, would have been Kotaku or like IO9 or various other now defunct
Univision, the Gawker Apocalypse remnants.
So yeah, I don't know. I do know that when it came out that Avatar was the most watched thing on Netflix for like a while.
Oh yeah, it was #1. Kept seeing that.
I assume by virtue of what made us watch Avatar, which is I heard this was really good but never watched it.
Yeah.
And then there are all those who did watch it and love it and just wanted to rewatch it.
But I mean, the thing I'm wondering is, does it have like that? Is it more of like a Twin Peaks that people like look back on and think like, oh, this is so cool, but like it didn't really pull what it needed to pull at the time? Or The Wire is another great example. Like nobody really watched The Wire when it was airing. I mean, of course some people did, but like most people didn't.
Yeah.
But everyone now has pretty much seen The Wire. I feel like Avatar was similar to that. I don't know for sure though. I just don't remember this being a thing that everybody was into in high school.
Yeah, and this is kind of the hard thing about. I'm glad we're doing this like season by season, but I'm not Googling a bunch of stuff for fear of spoilers.
Yeah.
And like maybe this is more stuff we should get into like in the after the third season.
Yeah.
After we feel more comfortable with talking about everything and actually looking this stuff up.
Sure. And I agree with that. I also just feel like hopefully season 2 and 3, I'm just gonna feel like I have more to talk about. Like right now, I'm just still trying to like kind of like condition myself for like the mindset I have to be in to watch the show. Yeah. And there's not that much like food for thought in each episode to me yet.
Yeah.
But I know
there's just a
like
lot of character development
to get deeper.
And that's about it.
Yeah.
So there was a season 4 planned for Avatar. So
oh yeah,
enough people liked it, I guess, to justify more. I guess the movie got in the way, and then the movie obviously tanked.
Oh yeah.
We could have watched the movie as part of this.
Yeah, you guys want to watch the movie after we watch the show?
I'm only okay watching the movie if we do it together.
Like, and stream it?
We stream it. A lot of alcohol is involved.
Yeah.
I'm not doing that shit sober.
Yeah.
We're going to have to be careful, though, because Twitch is really cutting down on the DMCA shit.
Really?
Oh my god, like crazy. Like people are getting banned, not banned, but they're getting DMCA strikes just for playing music. And that's something that Twitch has always been like safe for, kind of.
Like kind of fair game.
What you do is you just provide timestamps. Like we don't stream the movie, we just stream us. So the stream is just us talking.
Just kind of like a commentary, And
then you have a timestamp somewhere that's like
a commentary track over it. Yeah, no, okay.
Yeah, I'd be fine with that. I think that would work.
But yeah, like there would need to be I need more justification other than it'll be funny to talk about, to watch. What I have heard, like it's not even like it's bad, it's like unwatchable. Like like the editing and like the lighting, like it's like a very dark, like literally dark movie.
Mm-hmm.
Like every piece of execution for this film is terrible. Is what I've been told. So
and I've heard that so it's a TV show. Like that's what it is. It wasn't like a book first, or wasn't like it was a TV show. But apparently in the movie they pronounce people's names differently. And it's like it was a TV show. Like you heard the names being said in the TV show, but they pronounce them differently in the movie. Like I haven't seen it yet, but like
that's fantastic.
Yeah. I think we lost Fletcher again.
We're gonna have to get an Ethernet cable to this dude.
Yeah.
I have so many Ethernet cables.
I mean, shit. Who doesn't? Like, he's probably the only millennial on Earth without an Ethernet cable.
So this white thing behind me, this drawer back here, it's just cables.
Yeah.
Of all different kinds. Like I've never thrown out a cable in my life. I have so many Ethernet cables. I have like a 50-foot Ethernet cable. I could run it from my router to him. I could give him my internet if I needed to.
Yeah.
It's long enough.
So one thing I am just like a little curious about. So like Jorgs was the one who suggested we kind of started doing this podcast again, because like we had a podcast a while ago, and like
No, we didn't.
No, exactly. No, we didn't.
Look for it. Don't do that.
Don't look for it. You won't be able to find it anyways.
I believe it's gone. I believe I have done my best to scrub that from existence.
Yeah. But like, and it was, I mean, our last podcast was all over the place. But like, what kind of made you want to do the podcast again? And why did you want to start with Avatar?
I wanted something that I knew people were going to get into for the first time, like us. It was something I figured I was gonna watch. Well, sorry, something I wanted to watch, probably wouldn't watch if I didn't have like a reason to.
Yeah.
And with like pandemics and things, I was like, I'm not gonna talk to anybody about it because I'm not gonna see anybody.
Yeah.
And like I don't know, like it's an interesting, like it's the kind of thing that came out long enough ago and is popular enough that if somebody said a bunch of people watch this for the first time and are like recording their reactions in like seasonal order, because we don't know what happens in season 2. Like we might have just said a bunch of stuff that people who have seen the whole series are like, oh, these idiots are like in for a surprise. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I don't know, I think it's cool and it's fun to just sort of like do a thing and then talk about that thing and how you feel about it.
Yeah.
so that other people can be like, oh, I also felt that way, or this person is an idiot for thinking this.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. I say I do remember season 2 and 3 being much better. Like I said, I don't know. I don't want to say anything for spoilers. We'll definitely get into it next season.
I'm certain season 2 is probably way better than season 1.
Yeah.
And I'm sure season 3 is probably the best season, but doesn't feel like the best season because it takes all the good things about 2, but has to like wrap up the story in a way that like makes sense.
That's very accurate from how I remember it.
Like,
that's extremely
but
accurate.
That's how most things, you know what I mean? Like, I've never seen the first season of Parks and Rec, and I love Parks and Rec. You just skip the first season.
Yeah.
Because the rest of it's so good.
Yeah.
But the first season is so different and weird, you just don't watch it. So, like...
And even, I mean, even speaking in things that are, in a way, trilogies, you know, considering each season an installment. Like, that's kind of how Lord of the Rings is, you know? Like, the first one is just, it's good, but, like, it's a lot of just setting up the story, introducing characters, introducing the world, and then season 2, or episode, fucking Twin Towers.
Twin Towers.
You know what I mean? Is like, it's just awesome. It's just the most fun to watch, and it's just got, like, these awesome battle sequences, and then, like, the third movie, Return of the King, it is just kind of, like, wrapping it up and finishing arcs, and they're all very good in their own right, but season 2 and movie 2 and whatever, they are just kind of generally the fun ones.
Yeah, I mean, like, the middle of most things is usually the best.
Yeah.
Like, even things that are more than 3 seasons or 3 movies, like The Wire, which we already talked about. I would love to do this for The Wire. It's way more of a time commitment because there's a lot of The Wire around to watch.
Yeah.
But, like...
And it's just a much deeper story.
It's emotionally hard to watch. Like,
yeah.
You can't binge The Wire, man.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
It's fucking hard.
Fletcher could. Like, I'm pretty sure he has a couple times.
Well, the thing is, he's already seen it a bunch. Like,
yeah.
I've only done it once, but like, I mean, like, the season about like education is like arguably the best season of television to exist ever.
Yeah.
And it's because it's in like the dead middle of like, there was really a groove going writing wise. We had developed all of our characters. We felt like we could have risks. The executives said we could take risks. They trusted us.
Yeah.
And then towards the end, it kind of gets weird because you're like, shit, we're out of stuff. Like, we need, like, how do you wrap up somebody's cop career when they're, like, still in their 30s or ever old?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, it's just hard to do. But you don't want 15 seasons of The Wire because season 13 of The Wire is going to be shitty.
Yeah.
Like, it just, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like,
at some point, you told the story you wanted to tell, and you either wrapped it up 3 seasons ago, or you're literally just waiting to wrap it up because the network said they need 3 more seasons, whatever. All right, I feel like Fletcher keeps trying to come back, and it is just not working.
Yeah, an attempt is being made
that
I think will not be fruitful, unfortunately.
Yeah. All right. We'll get Fletcher an Ethernet cord, and we'll do this better next time, hopefully. All right. Well, huh?
No, we're making like a public library or something, so we can have real internet.
Yeah. Well, and you know, if COVID wraps up sometime soon, maybe we can just get together and do these in person. I don't know. We'll see. All right, guys. Well, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening, and see you soon.